So today we're joined by Jeff Williams. He's the CTO over at Contrast Security. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great that you're here. Could you tell us a little bit about what you guys do over at Contrast Security? That would be a great starting point.
Yeah, sure. So if you think about companies that are building software, like probably where you do your online banking or where you get your healthcare services, maybe your government, like they're all building web applications and web APIs. And if you want to do that, you have to focus on security. That's one of the biggest areas of people getting breached. And there's kind of three things that you have to do at the highest level. You got to make sure that your custom code is secure. So we call that like code hygiene, like get your developers not making vulnerabilities. That's the first thing. You got to worry about your supply chain. So all the libraries and other pieces of code that you consume and build into your applications, you got to make sure that that's secure. And then the third piece is making sure that you're secure in the operational environment so that you know who's attacking you and that you're preventing them from exploiting your applications. And Contrast offers a platform of products, of solutions that will help you implement each of those three areas in a really, kind of broad way. And so we support a lot of different kinds of applications, from traditional web applications to much more modern applications with APIs and DevOps projects. And then most recently, we've really started supporting serverless applications, which are really coming on strong lately.
Mm-hmm. Okay, serverless, right? It's quite interesting that you mentioned that. Heard a lot of hype about it. We've obviously had previous discussions about it as well. So, could you kind of give us a brief overview as to what is it? I think it's quite a new thing, especially an area that I'm kind of relatively interested in. What is it? Is it real?
It's definitely real. You're probably already using serverless functions through the applications that you're using, through your online banking, and everything is starting to be built on serverless. Really, from a developer's perspective, the difference between a traditional application and serverless is that you don't have to worry about all the infrastructure. So where you used to have to go buy some hardware and install an operating system and put a web server on there, and then an application server, and then put your custom code in and run it in that environment and manage that whole stack. Instead, all you do is write a little serverless function and upload it to your Amazon account or your Azure Functions account, and they take care of running that code. They take care of scaling it. So it's much more efficient. And ultimately, it means that companies can focus on just building their business logic instead of dealing with, infrastructure and operations and budgets and, cost and all that. It's generally, serverless functions are consumption-based. So you pay for how much you use, as opposed to, if you're doing it the traditional way, you pay for the full amount of capacity, whether you're using it or not. So ultimately, I think it lets companies experiment more, because they can very quickly change code and change the way they provide value. And they can do it with almost zero cost until it gets successful and starts going at really high volumes. So it's like a different paradigm, but it's definitely real.
Yeah. It sounds fascinating. Is it? And it, to be honest, I don't know what the kind of rate of adoption is, but it sounds to me like, especially when we think about some of the organizations and the way that you've explained it, offers up a very dynamic way of applying resources to the applications that you're building. Is it? Do you see a kind of a higher rate of adoption here, and what types of companies do you typically see that are adopting this today?
Yeah, so we've done a lot of studying about this. You can read our report on the serverless market if you're interested in some background. It's on our website, contrastsecurity.com. But roughly 50% of organizations are using serverless on half or more of their applications. So if you think about, most companies are using it, there's a sort of a range of how much they're using it, but half of them are using it in about half of their applications, which is a sort of good measure of how widespread it's become. And another way I think about the size of the market is I heard the statistic that AWS, which is where huge numbers of websites and APIs are hosted in AWS. It's a massive business, and they're spending half of their marketing budget on serverless. So they're making a huge bet on serverless. We see a lot of adoption across our customer base. People are moving to it. Some of our customers have millions of serverless functions already. Some have thousands. Some are just experimenting. But it's really growing incredibly fast.